Like, how can you not be bullish on Illuvium at this point? Like, I know I say it time and time again, but at the same time, you guys keep watching the video time and time again because you agree with me. You want to know more. You want to know why I'm bullish this time around. And this time around is bigger than all of the last times. And it might not seem like it on the surface, but you guys really got to follow with me. Here is a leak that has made me more bullish than I've ever been before. You might have seen this. Chances are you have not yet. Let's take a look at this one. You can see when it plays, you can see all of the looks at the different dashboard that is coming to the testnet beta and is going to be here for the main launch. Dashboards are a big part of, let's say, airdrop farming, crypto gaming, all the rest of it. 200,000 ILV is going to be distributed for this airdrop giveaway. And as you can see here, it's got some awesome quests, a lot of different things in it. Nyan Heroes had one of these. People loved it. This is one of the biggest airdrops where so many people participated. Pixels has similar things inside their game. Awesome. People love it. This sort of thing is like, the game's been built. Everything's been built. It's these sorts of cherries on top that are incredibly important to getting to where we need to be. And this stuff is in the works. It looks great. It looks effective. I cannot wait to see it happen. But here's the next part. Kieran has said why your faith is misplaced. If you are flooding Illuvium or you think something's wrong or the game's not going to be good, he has a lot to say to you. And I think it's important we cover through this. We're not going to go too crazy into it, but we're going to cover it over because I think it's very important. Basically, he says people need to understand its magnitude. There's 3 games, 150 million plus love the creature capture genre and RPG genre. In Arena, 40 million plus love this genre, which actually surprises me, but it is what it is. And in Zero to 100 million plus love the mobile city building genre. Obviously, we're not going to get those numbers on day one. That's ridiculous, but that's the addressable market that Illuvium currently captures, which is still valuable. So basically, this is what people are upset about. Delayed launch, games aren't on chain, there's no way to earn, the marketplace is not live yet, and all 3 games need multiple feature upgrades to compete with their mainstream competitors, which is very important here. Arena is too niche. Let me zoom in here a bit. Arena is too niche, okay? 1v1 auto battler is just 1v1 TCG, which is one of the most niche genres there is. Obviously, like real-time strategy is probably more niche. But as far as genres go, first-person shooter, MMO, RPG type stuff, and then TCG, you know what I mean? Like the really deep strategy game. The overworld is too boring. We all knew that from the start. It was too boring. They added alluvials into it. It is a lot better now. Still not perfect, unfortunately, but that is what it is. But they're going to be adding some things, and we'll get to that in a minute. Illuvium Zero, without the ability to generate fuel, is left little reason to continue playing once you had maxed things out. Honestly, I think if you had all the alluvials, biodata, and stuff in there, I think a lot of people would still enjoy playing it. I know I would, and I think a lot of people underestimate just how good of a gacha game it could be. But it's not as like exciting or engaging as Guild of Guardians, for example. So I get that as well. But yes, it's not quite ready. It's a big part of the economy, and that's where a lot of its strengths lie. So we were still in private beta, and so now it's open to a lot more people. So it's a lot easier to see how active players and things like that are going to behave. There was no revenue. We have generated nearly $15 million in revenue and burnt 5% of our token supply. But we really haven't got any of the big revenue generating things happening right now for Illuvium. No rev diz yet. We know that, which sucks, but it's coming. And there's good news. The launch is around the corner. Awesome. It's slated to be launched in Q2 of 2024, which is June. It might come a little bit later. That's what I personally expect. It's hard to say though, but they tend to not like announce launch dates until like right before or a week out. I'm not entirely sure why that is, but yeah, so hopefully in June. And basically, the delayed launch has allowed them to build up the IP. All the creatures look fantastic. That is the most important thing to me. I truly feel like if Palworld had really awesome creature designs, it would have lasted longer. And I still think it's going to come back one day, but for now, it was one of its weakest points. The absence of chain functions has been a negative. It's been unfortunate. Not being able to earn. I'm not a big fan of earning in video games. I don't really care that much for it, and a lot of people care about it. I think the economy is sustainable, which is great. But at the same time, I don't think you should be playing Illuvium if you're trying to earn money. Unless you're really good at video games, I think skilled competitors will be able to do pretty well, to be fair. And that's the other thing. In 2021, Axie generated nearly $1 billion in revenue purely through marketplace transactions. I think that's interesting. I think if everything goes on a bull run, we won't necessarily make a lot of revenue on people playing the game, exploring the overworld and everything like that. I think we'll make a lot of revenue on secondary transactions. People are going to be trading alluvials and other resources back and forth a lot. And hitting 1 billion in volume, depending on how many players the game has, what people think of Illuvium, is very possible. And I believe it's like 4% of that it goes into RevDiz. So 4% of 1 billion would be like 40 million or whatever, right? Which is a sizable chunk of RevDiz, don't get me wrong. But yeah, so interesting. And then you have all the other revenue stream. So Arena's new mode. Now this is really important. 8-player multiplayer with shared deck, no team builder, no requirements to own assets. This is a really big deal. For anyone who's not aware, TFT is actually a really popular game, mostly because it's so casual friendly. The one downside to this is Illuvium does not have this on mobile yet. As soon as Gauntlet goes live on mobile, there will be so many daily active players on Illuvium because it is a game that actually competes with Web 2 gaming in every possible way, right? If let's say it is as good as TFT in the matter that it's similar enough that you can't really distinct the two, graphically it's on par if not better, and then the IP is just as good. Obviously, it's not going to have as big of a player base. People are attached to Riot and all the rest of it. One of the reasons TFT got so many players. But as far as shot-for-shot auto-battler game gameplay, I do believe within the next 12 months and it being on mobile and everything, it will be just as good. No other Web3 game has that yet. No other Web3 game is as good as a Web2 competitor. They're not as fun. There are some occasional exceptions. I've heard Off the Grid's pretty amazing, so maybe that is. Things like the Machines Arena is quite awesome. Guild of Guardians competes with Gacha pretty decently. It's not as good as like AFK Journeys, but it's quite competitive. And Wilder World, as far as a racing sim goes, does really well as well. So there are some, but none in such a casual friendly market, I would say, unless Off the Grid competes with Battle Royales, but that is a really hard space to break into. So there's no telling if it will. I hope it does. I hope we have a great Web3 Battle Royale. It's one of my favorite genres. So there's that. But yes, it's going to be a big deal. Overall had no life. They were hidden behind NFTs, blah, blah, blah. There was no combat and no lore. I don't know how much lore is going to improve it. I think they are working on multiplayer in Sanctimazet. That's going to be a big improvement. But combat in the overworld, if done well, is going to be a huge change to what we're used to now. And is going to make the game, again, much more casual friendly. Now, I'm not saying I want people just playing the game because they're super casual and they just find in the next Web3 game and they'll hop to that and hop off. But it becoming more casual friendly, easier to play, is more engaging and people like that more and you get a lot more players. And really that's what it is no one wants to go to a game where no one's playing. That's just a simple fact of the matter. If you go to World of Warcraft and you enter and it's completely empty, it'll feel really weird. Now, some people might be into that, I don't know. But for a majority of players, it will feel weird. And so Illuvium needs players to be successful, and making the game more accessible to more people is the shortest path to that. Zero wasn't available on iOS. I'm glad it's coming to iOS. They were in private beta, and now a lot more people have access. We need to be live to generate revenue, which is coming. And without revenue, there can be no distributions. Again, it's coming. But yeah, so you're all sleeping on Illuvium. That's what I have to say. That's what Kieran has to say. That's what most people in the Illuvium community at this point have to say. They are very excited for the launch. Don't forget to go and like this post, repost it, whatever you want to do. I've never been more bullish, okay? We're almost there, and still we're way ahead of all the other crypto games, but that's not actually that important. What's important is we're close to being as good as non-crypto games, which is something not really any other crypto games can say, or not many of them at least. And none of them that are AAA. That's important. This will be the first AAA crypto game that is as good as regular games in the regular market after 3 years of hard work and grind. And I truly believe that. Maybe it doesn't work out. Maybe it does. Who knows? But that is what I truly believe at this point in time.